One of the fallacies that's implied in what we just talked about there is that listening commences when you engage with the speaker. And that's interesting, but there's actually a step before that everybody misses. And if you don't have this foundational step in place, you can never get to the next step that you just talked about. And why people struggle, where they want to get their point in and wait for the pause and respond rather than seek to understand and all those things, they haven't done this basic work. So listening commences not by focusing on the speaker, but by listening to yourself. When you think about that executive environment or that board environment, you can imagine people's minds have so many multiple browser tabs open that at some point the memory is going to flood and the browser will literally crash. To be effective at listening, you need to close down those browser tabs yourself first. You need to be open to you. Otherwise, all your listening will be completely filtered on the last meeting, the next meeting, the risk and audit committee that's immediately prior after. All these things are going through your head. So one of the being rather than doing, listening requires you to be yourself and be listening, not doing listening. It's an interesting distinction that many people say, like, oh, okay. I remember interviewing Dame Evelyn Glennie from North England, originally from Scotland, a world-renowned percussionist and profoundly deaf by the age of 12. And her music master, Ron Forbes, asked her to play her drum with her shoes off. And he played a particular note on the timpani, and he asked Evelyn, did she notice that note differently with her feet on the ground versus through her shoes? And she said, absolutely. And from that point on, Dame Evelyn Glennie, as always, played barefoot. But the point she made to me when I interviewed her via video, and remember she's profoundly deaf, so she lip-read the whole thing, is that if your body is in tune, listening becomes really light and easy. So then we can move to the next step, and the next step is getting into the content itself. But until you're grounded, before you do what an orchestra does before a performance and tune your listening instrument, which is not your ears, it's not your eyes, it's not your mind, it's your entire body, including your state of mind. If you can bring that presence, you will profoundly change the way the speaker expresses their idea, because they'll say what they mean, not what they say, in a much shorter time frame, because they will feel relaxed and know that there's no judgment present and we just want to have a conversation. So my first learning from all these wise people who've taught me along the way when it comes to listening, unless your instrument is ready, you can never be ready to engage with the other, whether that other is an individual or a group. Yet once you do, many of us don't even notice we have a listening battery. You know, it's green, it's orange, it's yellow, it's red, it's black. You know, we come into conversations at different points during the day or different contexts where our battery isn't even charged enough to have the conversation. But if you're not noticing yourself first, you can't get into that conversation. What colour's your listening battery at right now, Ben?